first.
No.
No. How long do they have according
That's
to
not
the
what the
law
law
to
says.
apply?
I'm not sure.
1 year. So for
1 year.
364 days, 11 hours and 59 minutes, I can assume that anybody who crossed the border is an asylum seeker who just hasn't applied yet.
Okay. Now, how is
What state do you live in?
I live in California, which has a huge problem with
What's the problem?
crime. Is
Oh,
one of the big.
but it's not undocumented immigrants committing the crime.
Yeah, there are. We've had
Crime is down in California, sir.
I live in California.
Yeah, crime is down in California over the last 4
it's not.
years.
No, actually,
So all of the police departments are lying.
No, because the reference that they're using is the FBI database, which, if you look at the details,
Do you mean the same FBI database that white people have been using for years to say that black people commit most of the violent crimes, even though that's not true, even according to that?
And I agree with you. It's not true. No, so my biggest issue with Kamala Harris is that
No, let's not pivot. What data is missing from that statistic,
Yeah,
and where do you get yours?
and
Hold on.
Okay.
And where do you get your statistics from?
So one, I live on the ground in California.
Living on the ground. Do you currently have the most advanced graphics processor in your head?
The graphics processor?
Yes. Do you currently have a super advanced GPU in your head?
No.
So your line of sight is only as far as you can see, which is as far as I can see. It's just normal view, right? Can you repeat that? If you were in San Diego, could you see Cupertino from your house?
No.
Okay, so you being on the ground means shit. I'm asking where you get your statistics from.
Statistics. So first of all, let me finish my thought where I started down the FBI's database. So the new system that they incorporated requires local law enforcement to register violent crimes through the database. Now, if you look at Los Angeles and San Francisco, those departments have not submitted data for over a year now. And you can go to the FBI website and look this stuff up. I don't have the website off the top of my head, but I can certainly find it and come back to.
I gotta go. See you guys later.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is, so here's the thing.
I'm looking to see if crime has surged at all since California has become a sanctuary state, and there's nothing reporting that it has gone up at all. As a matter of fact, everything that I can find so far, like Brennan Center for Justice, is talking about California specifically, and it's not showing. This says debunking the myth of the migrant crime wave. USA Today is done on it. Public Policy Institute of California.
Have you seen any of the videos from Oakland, for example? Like just the lawlessness.
No, hold on. Me watching a video from Oakland doesn't mean that those people are undocumented.
No, I didn't say undocumented, just specific. I'm not saying like the crime.
Oh, brown people.
What's that?
Brown people.
Well, I mean, it's a combination of like the Chilean gangs down here. They actually have a whole network across the country. Not only that, so let me.
We were talking about statistics. If you're going to show me a video, I'm going to get bored very quickly.
Sure. And I'm saying that the FBI website has, like, if you look at the map on the FBI website.
That brings us to the second part of my question. Where do you get your statistics from? Again, if you're going to show me a video, I'm going to tell you it's boring.
Okay. So the fact that people are, like, I've had friends that were robbed in broad daylight. I've had my.
And they caught them and found out that they were undocumented.
Yeah.
Even if they were, I don't.
Yeah,
How about
give me the names, because you know this is public information. So give me the names so I can look it up.
The names of the gangs or?
No, these people that were robbed in broad daylight.
Well, this is what the cops have told us, and they. So I don't know.
Yeah, let me get the info.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I showed you a video of somebody,
No, I'm not going to look up Chilean gangs. That doesn't tell me that was an undocumented person that robbed your friend in broad daylight. Like like robberies, armed robberies aren't up.
So the cops telling, so violent
I don't
crime,
care.
as far as the
I
report.
don't listen.
Hold on,
Listen.
hold
I
on,
want to make
hold
this
on,
very
Jeff.
no. There's no
Jeff,
hold on.
on.
You shut up. I want to make this very clear. I do not care if I showed you a video of somebody getting robbed in Arkansas. Surely you wouldn't say there's a crime wave in Arkansas. I asked you, where do you get your statistics? And now you're dancing around the topic. First,
No.
you said, I'm on the ground. That's bullshit. I don't care if you're on the ground. Next, you said, well, there's a video. Now, that I
No,
don't care
not
about
just
that.
one with video.
Third, you're saying you gave me a lie and you said your friend got robbed at gunpoint by undocumented migrants. You know how I know
No,
that?
I never said gunpoint.
This is in Southern
Well,
California,
whatever.
you said?
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 15 hours ago, feds take down violent Southern California robbery crew amid 6-week crime spree, right? You want to hear the funny part though? Listen to these names. 39-year-old Fontana resident Aaron Carter. That doesn't sound like a Chilean gang member, does it? No. Diamond Lucius. Nope, definitely not.
Like one of the members of Menudo.
Isaac Penaldoza. His first name is Isaac. None of them sound Chilean to you, do they?
Nah.
No. But the thing is, like, these not everyone that's been arrested is part of these groups, right? So it doesn't mean that that's not true. When the cops themselves are telling us that this is what this is, then
The cops aren't telling you that. Bro, you're just sitting up here lying. Like, this is crazy.
Why
Lying
would
to
I lie?
justify your
You know how you're
xenophobia.
lying?
Move the fuck out of California then, bro.
I'm an Indian immigrant.
Okay.
I am an Indian immigrant that moved
Okay,
to
then
this
move
country.
out of California.
You know how I know
why
you're
should I
lying?
move?
You know how I know you're lying?
Because you're scared. Buy a dog then.
What, sorry?
Buy a dog then.
Do you know how I know you? Do you know how I know you're lying?
You know I'm lying. That's hilarious.
I do. There's two reasons I know you're lying. The first one is fun. I'm a prophet and I can read your mind. The second one,
okay.
the second one is actually more impressive, right? I recently asked Jones to tell me the bad parts about Schindler, and he started with the good ones. You came up here to tell me the things about a crime wave, and you started with bullshit, and then you worked your way up to my friend got robbed. You would have started with that if that were true, but you're just scrambling and making shit up.
And like I said, when I first started talking, this is my first time. I don't know, I've
No,
never done
the psychological aspects of it don't change though, friend. It's what you don't understand.
How do you mean?
Okay.
I don't know.
So
Yeah.
whether we were having this conversation in person or otherwise, the psychological aspects, right, of how you framed your argument tell us, right, that you're lying.
I don't understand that. How?
I know.
I'm genuinely
I know.
asking. I'm just.
We
genuinely
just
asking.
we happen to be more intelligent than you are, and that's okay. That's not a slight against you, right? But people that fall for propaganda and people who get caught up in all of this xenophobia and things of that nature, people that hold on to racist ideologies and things of that nature, they're usually not super smart.
Okay.
And so because we talk to thousands, and I do mean thousands of people, right,
Sure.
regularly, because I worked in the political field for about 2 decades, right, I analyze people's behavior and how they form their arguments.
Sure.
If I was going to tell you, right, a story or a reason why I didn't like dogs, I'm not going, and I've been bitten or mauled by a dog, I'm not going to start with, hey, if they get a hold of table scraps, they start farting in the house and it stinks. I'm going to start with, I got mauled by one. That's why I don't like dogs.
Sure. But wouldn't that be an anecdotal argument?
You started with a bad anecdotal argument, and then you had another anecdotal argument,
No,
and then you went to a
my
third
anecdotal argument was about my friends that came in later, which is what
No,
you're
the
criticizing.
first anecdotal argument was I'm on the ground and I look around. That's
Correct.
an anecdote. The second anecdotal
you asked me
argument
about
is
where I
let me
was
show
in
you
the
a
house.
vi- I didn't ask you where you were. I asked you for statistics. Then the second anecdotal argument was, I have a video. That's another anecdote. And then the third anecdotal argument was, let me personalize this to something that
Correct.
they'll believe because it happened to me. That's the lie.
Okay, you can believe that.
No, I don't believe it. I know it.
Okay,
I
Good for you.
JTB know it.
good for you, man.
Look, you can prove me wrong. Show me where it happened.
Show me. Show me
What I asked
where-
for in the first place. That's what I asked for in the first place.
Yeah, and like I said, like I can pull all that up. I'm more
Yeah,
than
like,
happy.
bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, you act like we don't know anybody in California. I'll be in LA on Sunday.
If you have some time, I'd love to meet up.
Shoot me a DM. I'll be in LA on Sunday.
Awesome. I'd love to look, I joined this because I like what you're doing. So, I appreciate that. But my initial comment was that like not everyone that comes through is an asylum seeker, right? Is my big like what you said about the asylum seekers, that's fine. There are
How'd
people-
you get here?
I'm sorry?
How'd you get here?
Through this country? By getting a green card. And
Gotcha. How much? And you had a sponsor, yes?
well, I moved here when I was a teenager, so my parents.
So your parents had a sponsor, yes?
I believe so. I mean,
They would have had to have a sponsor,
had gotten,
and that
like,
sponsor would have had to prove that they could financially sustain your family if they couldn't find work. So that means that sponsor had to be essentially well off.
Yeah, I mean, I
Right.
honestly
Right.
I couldn't tell you because that happened like mid '80s, I want to say.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so and then you had to then your family had to afford the travel, right?
Right.
Because you came here from India, so that would have been air travel. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see how the people coming from our southern border in countries that have been devastated by American imperialism and greed don't have the resources or the ability or the privilege to come here the way that you did?
Absolutely, I'm not denying.
But you're
that.
like, hey, I got to come here, so that's all that matters to me.
No,
They should
I
just
never
stay
said
where they
that.
are and
No,
live in
I-
squalor until they die.
No, I never said that. I
So
completely.
even making it an issue of it seems, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No, so here's so bear with me, like because I haven't done this. So give me a second, okay? Please. So what I'm saying is that there are people that are crossing the border into this country, right? And we know this for like not just the asylum seekers. The asylum seekers, like you showed, there's a process for seeking asylum, right? Correct. Even if that's up to a year later, like there's a process for that. Now, does that mean that every single person that crosses into the country is an asylum seeker? That's where my
what did your family come here for from India?
for a better life.
Gotcha. Do you think that these people are leaving their homes, they're the place that, you know what I'm saying, they've always known and loved, and then crossing over some of the most treacherous landscapes on the planet, you know, full of dangerous animals and wildlife, the heat, right? The desert, you know, cartels, what you name it, hundreds of miles to come into this country just so they can commit crimes and get sent back?
No, and I'm not saying that every undocumented immigrant in this country is a criminal. That's not what I'm saying at all. Like I do have a problem with people that think that way. Like I know for a fact that there are a lot of undocumented immigrants in California, like over 1 million that file taxes using I-10, right? This is a fact. So don't get me wrong. Like I'm not saying.
You know that the IRS would immediately recognize that it's an ITIN and they wouldn't get a tax return.
Right. Yeah, they wouldn't. Like, so they're paying in without the benefits, right?
Correct.
Like, yeah. So I'm not saying that. So I'm well aware of it. Like, this is not a zero-sum game that I'm trying to present here. Like, I'm not saying every asylum seeker is terrible or that an asylum seeker, period, is a bad person. I'm talking about like the fringe that I mean, we had the
But
Venezuela.
bro, listen. I'm gonna tell you who I worry about, who I'm concerned about, right? The actual threats to the United States, right? People like the man behind me, right?
Right.
Rapist, I'm the most likely person for you to be harmed by, for somebody to go up into your school and unalive your children, or to run up in the Capitol and gouge a police officer's eyes out, and then have a couple other police officers unalive themselves because of the trauma behind it. Like white men, right, are the things that people should be afraid of, especially you. Bro, if you think if they try to implement a Muslim ban, I know you're from India, so don't think that that's what I'm trying to say. That people who don't understand, you know what I'm saying, ethnic cultures aren't going to look at you and like tell you to go back to your own country, bro.
You know what's funny is, like, I've been in this country 26 years now, something like that, and most of the time that I've heard, because I don't like throwing around the term racist willy-nilly, but most of the underlying tones of racism that I've come across have been from people on the left, because as a brown man, they expect me to vote blue no matter what, and and like that's not okay.
If you're voting against, right, the well-being of the vast majority of American citizens, then you can expect people not to be kind to you. If I was like, I don't know if you have a wife. I don't know how old you are. You said you've been here 26 years. I don't know if you have a wife or anything like that. Do you?
I do, yeah.
You do have a wife?
Yep.
Okay. If somebody raped your wife and got off for it, because most of them do, believe it or not. Yeah!
Sure.
Like only 5% of rapists ever see any jail time.
Of course.
And then they ran for like a public office. Would you vote for them?
No.
Why not?
Because it's not okay.
What if their policies were great and would benefit you?
No, still wouldn't.
Why not?
And I actually haven't voted in 12 years because of that conviction that, like, I don't want to just be a single issue voter by any means. And but like, Harris is from California, and the policies that she's supported in California
were great for California.
No.
Are you kidding me? She lowered the recidivism rate substantially in the state of California.
She okay.
She created the Back on Track program so that people didn't have to go to jail, so that they didn't have that stain on their record for the rest of their lives, so they can get into job programs and GED and associate's degree programs. She helped them fix their credit.
She also helped oversee innocent black men go to prison over minor infractions.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't. Do you know how many times that's been debunked? No, she didn't. Herself, as a prosecutor, prosecuted 1,900 cases, over 1,900 cases. Only 43 of those people went to jail. Not all of them were black.
I don't know what to
the one case in her district, in her office, where the man sued them because of withholding evidence. The police officers withheld the evidence, and the judge didn't allow it to be submitted. It didn't have anything to do with her. She wasn't even the one who tried the case.
I know, but
they didn't sue her. They sued the police. They sued the judge, but they didn't sue her because she had nothing to do with it. And then he wrote a letter, a public letter, and said, "Stop using my name." You know what I'm saying, in relation to Kamala Harris.
I have a question for you, Arpit. Do you think the lawyers that gentleman had that got him a buku amount of money, do you think they were idiots?
No.
So if they had the opportunity to put the attorney general of the state or the DA on a lawsuit to get more money, do you think they would have done that if she had something to do with it?
Yeah, I imagine they would have.
Yeah.
Okay, so then now knowing that they have more facts than you do, your understanding we now understand is vacant. You said, according to my understanding. I don't care about your understanding. We're just going to use some deduction here. Lawyers for that man are not idiots, and they did not name Kamala Harris in the suit. And then the man himself said, "Stop talking about her and her connection to me." Do you think it's possible that you can make a reasonable conclusion that she had nothing to do with that man's case?
It's possible, and this is new information for me, so I'll look it up after. But I appreciate you sharing that.
I'll put it on the screen for you right now. You don't even gotta wait.
Where? How do I? Okay, like I said, I knew where. Oh, you're gonna do it. Okay, I
Put it on the screen right now.
Okay, cool. Thank you, by the way, for taking the time.
Good morning, y'all. Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, absolutely, you may. Sorry, Social Smitty. I apologize,
Oh,
bro.
no,
I was locked in. But good morning. Have you had some water? Said something kind about yourself?
I have. Thank you so much, man. Pleasure. Always a pleasure to be here. I want to jump in and just kind of address what I believe your name is Arpit.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. What you had to say regarding crime and undocumented immigrants, because I think it's really important. I just recently termed off of a city committee here in the city, very close to Los Angeles, and one of our responsibilities was to study violent crime, who was perpetrating the violent crime, and we looked at it by race, and then we also looked at it by citizenship status. And so what we found, right, is one, that, the violent crime was committed by obviously folks of all races, but more importantly to this discussion, that these violent crimes were perpetrated almost exclusively by citizens.
Gotcha.
Right. And then what we did is then we looked outside of our city because we had, this city that I live in, we have some problematic folks as it relates to race. Right. So then what we did is we looked outside of our city and we picked we picked one neighborhood in the city of Los Angeles, and then one additional city. The city's name is Whittier, if you're familiar with Southern California.
Yeah.
So we picked Whittier and we picked Ladera Heights. So the reason why we picked those two, that neighborhood in Los Angeles, Ladera Heights, is that it's a predominantly black neighborhood, about 75% black, right?
Yeah.
And Whittier at the time, this was 2 years ago,
Right.
35% white, right?
Yeah.
And so what we found, right, is that the crime rate in Whittier, which was 75% white, was 4 times higher than the crime rate in Ladera Heights, which is 75% black, right? And the reason why we did that, right, was to address, again, ignorant folks in our town that would say certain things like, oh, black culture lends itself to crime, right? And then when we did the study, right, it shut them the hell up, right? Because again, right, when we solved for income, Whittier and Ladera Heights having similar incomes, we're really easily able to show why crime is being perpetrated. It has obviously nothing to do with race. Now, the last thing that I wanted to say is that one of the reasons why we've seen kind of anti-immigrant propaganda, for lack of a better word, that I'll use, spike in the last few years. Obviously, the climate of the country is one reason, but one of the other bigger reasons we believe also is what we're seeing is that the children of these undocumented immigrants are having unprecedented levels of success here in California. And this is something that I think we should talk about more.
Leading in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Leading in entrepreneurship. One of the things that I love here about the state of California is that since 2020, right, there are more Latino students here in California state universities and colleges being admitted than any other racial demographic, right? That's one piece. The second piece is we're also seeing an unprecedented rise, not surprising to us, of Black women entrepreneurs and Black women holding multiple higher level graduate degrees here in California as well. Yeah. And so ever since those two things started to rise, we have seen a level of desperation in the arguments of those who don't like to see that, right? And again, I want to pivot back to what I said about undocumented immigrants. So when we speak about undocumented immigrants, we shouldn't just speak about agriculture. We shouldn't just speak about the service and hospitality industry, right? We should talk about the opportunity for their children, right, who are excelling. These children who will someday be our doctors, right? These children who someday will be engineers. These children that someday will lead this country, hopefully, to bigger and better heights. So I think that's very, very important to mention as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, I mean, again, as an immigrant, I do think immigrants bring a lot to the table, right? And so there is a problem with the amount of legal immigration that's even allowed to happen, and so
How's there a problem with legal immigration that's allowed to happen? Why is that a
I
problem?
mean, like,
We're the
not enough
same
people
size
are
as
being
China.
accessed.
China has over 1 billion people. We have
No, no,
365 million.
no. I'm saying like there's not enough legal immigration allowed to happen.
Well,
That's
that's
what my
because they won't do anything. They won't allow.
right.
At both times that the Democratic Party has tried to get them to hire more judges and more processing agents, they shoot the bills down. I want you to read this. Can you read this?
Yeah. I've been reading it. I meant to say thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take a
So
look at.
they filed a civil suit against the city and county of San Francisco and city police, alleging that officers framed him for murder. Harris was not
Yeah.
named in the suit.
Correct. Yeah, I see that now. So I'll definitely be. I won't be bringing that up again.
Yeah.
So appreciate it. I'm thinking through this for a second here, but as far as undocumented immigrant, right? Like, how are we defining that? So
Somebody who
if
doesn't
someone
have a
has driver's
citizenship
license,
status in the
for
United
example-
States.
No, so if undocumented as in like
Doesn't have
so-
citizenship status in the United States. That's what undocumented means.
Okay, I'm just asking for clarification on how you're using the term. That was all.
That's not my term. I didn't make it up.
No, I mean, but
That's how it's defined by our
because
law.
different people use it differently, right? So I just wanted to get a sense. Like, I don't want to argue against something that I don't know where you're coming from. That was why I was asking.
Undocumented simply means that they don't have a citizenship status. That's it. That's all.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that we don't know who they are.
All
Doesn't mean that they weren't, you know what I'm saying, vetted before they came into the country.
Okay. Now, are there, again, do you think even a very small percentage, even if it's a fraction of 1% of these people that come in across the border, right, are people that should not be here?
What do you mean? Should not be here? Why?
Because they are fleeing their country because of crimes that they've committed. And I'm not saying like this is the vast majority. I'm asking you, is there no person that enters across the southern border that?
I wouldn't know. And
Yeah,
I also
I
don't
know.
care. I also don't care.
Okay.
I'm just being honest with you. I don't care.
Okay.
Like literally, we have criminals right here. We have a criminal running for office.
Sure. Okay. Again, just asking clarifying questions. That's all.
Why should it matter?
Sorry.
Why should it matter?
Well, because undocumented, so states like California like allow undocumented immigrants to get driver's licenses. So I didn't know if that meant like, okay, or do they count as undocumented or not? Like, so I guess that's why I was asking the clarifying question.
But no, I'm talking about the question about people who come here under false pretenses or something like that. Why should that matter?
Why should that matter?
Yeah, I mean, this whole country, people came here under false pretenses,
Sure.
It's as American as apple pie.
right? Like that's how the country started. They came in here.
Actually, it's more American than apple pie. I think
Right.
apple pie is Dutch.
Right. Like they literally came in here and unalived so many indigenous people, it changed the temperature of the earth. So you think I'm worried about, and the crazy part is this is one continent. So you arbitrarily drew a line on a continent, stole Mexico from Mexico, and now, you know what I'm saying, you're telling indigenous peoples that they are not allowed to occupy their indigenous lands while simultaneously saying that the Jewish people have the right to occupy their ancestral lands? Like, come on, y'all.
No, I get it. Look, this is why I did not vote for the last 12 years. Like, I hate the hypocrisy on both sides. Like, that's so, yeah.
Do you ever gamble? You ever
No,
go to
I don't.
gamble? Okay. Do you know how probabilities work?
Sure.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. What is the difference between a projectile coming out of a pew-pew aimed at your head, fired by a white man, versus one that's fired by a brown man who's undocumented?
No difference.
There's a huge difference. the likelihood of it being from the first one is super high.
Well,
And
okay.
the likelihood of it being fired from the second one is super, super low. That's the
Okay,
difference.
so the question was slightly misleading in that, like, I meant you said what happens to you, like the
I
outcomes.
started it with, I gave you a hint by starting it with Vegas. The thing at Vegas is odds, and then I said probability. So
Well, a bullet coming at you, there's 100% possibility if it's aimed properly, and that would have no bearing whether the person holding the thing is.
yeah, but the difference is the likelihood of it happening.
Okay, well, that's a different way to ask that question, but yeah, I get that.
All right, y'all. It's mad late. I gotta go. I
Thank
didn't
you.
realize
I
it was 1
appreciate
o'clock.
you giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come back and listen tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Have a good one. Sorry, Jeff. I didn't mean to cut you off like that, bro. But I do gotta get out of here. All right, YouTube. I'll see y'all later.